Welcome in, everyone, to the Content Slop podcast and channel. This is our first episode of Slop or Not. I'm Snug, and I'm excited to have you here. We also have my co-host on the channel, Donathan.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked too. I mean, we just recently watched 28 Years Later, which was directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland.
So, how are we going to break this down for everyone today?
All right, so for today's show, we're going to structure it pretty clearly. First things first, we're going to hit all the non-spoiler stuff, just our general thoughts, keep it safe for everyone who hasn't seen it yet. Then we're going to dive deep into the spoiler territory, and just a heads up for our video viewers, there will be a visual border on the screen, like a big red one, when we get into that section. And then finally, we'll wrap it all up with our verdict on the movie. Is it slop or not? That's what we're here for, right?
Man, the one thing that really stood out to me early on, the tone of this movie, Donathan, it's all over the place. Seriously, all over the place. It starts off, right? The super grounded, really gritty movie with a ton of technological regression, which is, it's current day, but it feels so far removed. But then, it quickly changes during the latter part of the first act, especially with, some of the cinematography for me. Some of those weird, almost Matrix-style shots where the camera has that, weird pan feeling. It just felt so out of place in this movie. It felt, futuristic or almost like a video game. And that just totally clashed with, everything else that was going on.
Yeah, that was really jarring, actually. I was sitting there thinking, is this going to happen every time they kill the zombie? It's just give me the normal shot.
But Donathan, they used the word zombie in the movie. They actually said it. But yeah, I mean, speaking of that, the first and second to the 3X, they really, they did feel like a 28 Days Later sequel. It was actually, it was really nice, and it totally fit the vibe of what I was expecting for a 28 Years Later movie. It just clicked, it felt right.
Oh, absolutely, Snug. I totally agree there. I mean, the acting overall was it was really good. I gotta say, I really, really liked the child actor. That kid, he was just stellar. He totally held his own. And honestly, most everyone else, they did pretty well acting-wise with what they were actually given in the script. They made it work. And on top of that, we get to see all the different, zombie types. And that was actually really good. You got your runners, you got your screamers. It was well done. Oh, and apparently the rage, it makes you hung like a horse. Just throwing that out there, for the listeners.
Oh God, the Jason Momoa zombie dong.
Yeah, no, seriously. There was just a surprising amount of dong in this zombie movie. I mean, this movie it hangs dong, man. It totally, totally hangs dong. It's like a recurring theme, I swear.
It does hang dong. Oh, speaking of the beginning stuff, the actual intro scene, right? While it was, kind of nice and off-putting, it kind of felt, to me anyway, they were just totally trying to copy that brutalism. The brutalism that was just perfectly shown in the intro to 28 Weeks Later. That whole, the brutalism versus trying to keep a normal life vibe. It felt a little bit like they were just trying to recreate that, but it didn't quite, hit the mark the same way, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying there, Snug. It's it just kind of showed, how quickly humanity just goes, you look at the dad in 28 Weeks Later, right? He straight up says F this and just saves himself. No hesitation, no questions asked. And then the intro to this movie 28 Years Later, it really felt I don't know, a much, much more watered down version of that 28 Weeks Later intro, It didn't have the same punch, the impact wasn't quite there. There were also, some really, really cool shots in this movie, Snug, if we just kind of ignore that weird, Matrix stuff we were talking about earlier. But, besides that, it actually felt like they kind of kept cinematography from 28 Weeks Later, like it felt like it was a movie that was like totally in the same world, which was pretty neat. Really, really cool shots, especially some of those nighttime shots. Those were like spot on.
Oh yeah, those were definitely good. I mean, like those really contributed to the vibe for sure. But the night vision stuff, Jonathan, that was just kind of weird. Like it just felt a little off.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely get into that in the spoiler section. Trust me, there's a lot more to unpack there with night vision.
Okay, so speaking of that, and getting into all those little specific details, let's totally jump into the spoiler section then for our listeners and our viewers at home. Just a heads up, the spoilers, they're going to end and our verdict starts at the timestamp on screen now. There's also going to be a big like red spoiler border right here on the video while we're spoiling all this stuff. So mute now or forever be spoiled.
Yeah, no, seriously. If you haven't seen 28 Years Later yet, and you want to go into it fresh, like you really, really need to hit that skip button or just pause this right now, because from here on out, we're going to be, breaking down everything. And I mean everything that happens in this movie. So you've been warned. So guys, let's just break it down through the acts, right? Because like all my positive things, legitimately, they're only like in this section for the first act. It really, it just goes downhill so fast after that. Like you have no idea.
Oh wow. Okay. So this is kind of like the peak of the movie for you then. Is that what you're saying? The first act?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I actually enjoyed, the establishment of this little village on an island, like off the mainland, and how they can't go across without low tide, and how they have like all the rules like divided in the village, and they all kind of work together, which was like pretty neat. And they established the father-son stuff, I thought, like really, really good right off the bat. Like it felt believable right away.
Yeah, I really like that too. That immediate sense of community and how they how they managed to just kind of like rebuild and create something sort of functional within all this chaos. It felt grounded, which I appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to see the new rage zombies, like the alphas. They kind of introduced them there.
Oh yeah. Those are the ones like with the big dongers, right? That's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, the ones with the big dongers, exactly. Like it was definitely like a solid setup for sure. I genuinely like had high hopes after that first act. So for me, like the movie just really started going downhill. Like really fast, honestly, in that second act, especially like once that Swedish soldier got, thrown into the mix, it got silly, and it just kept getting sillier,
Yeah, I kind of felt that too. It was a bit weird, like, this kid, he steals his like confused mother, right? And then they go to the mainland to try and find this like crazy doctor, and then they team up with like a blonde joke cracking soldier. It felt a bit silly, talking about like delivery drivers and stuff when the main kid, he don't know nothing about even electricity. Like he doesn't know what that is. It just kind of like jarred me out of the immersion,
Yeah, no, totally. And that actually like really hurts the world building, I think. This movie, it kind of ignores the whole 28 weeks later aspect of the world being like completely infected. And it just, contains it to the UK only, right? Like, given the title, 28 years later, and like everywhere else in the world is like operating fine except for the UK. Why haven't they already nuked it? Are you telling me like no one in that time frame like thought they should have bombed the place instead of like wasting resources on just patrolling the UK? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
True, yeah. I mean, they did say that they recognize that the second movie exists, but they don't consider it canon. So I guess they just like went in a completely different direction, But back on the soldier stuff, like that gas station scene, right, where they meet the soldier, that was so weird. Somehow the gas station like perfectly kept all the aerosolized stuff inside, so it could like be blown up, Like that's got to be plot armor, I guess.
Yeah, definitely plot armor. And there were like several character issues too that they really bugged me. Like the biggest one for me is the mom. The scene where they both fell asleep while the crawling one gets close and like the mom kills it without waking him up, but she's like kind of not all there, right? Like she's clearly like a bit out of it.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. That was a little like jarring even then.
And then later, it's really stupid for the son and the soldier to like let the mom wander so far ahead, knowing where they are and that she isn't well. Like she gets on a train randomly just because she hears noise. And in this grounded world, I can't see the kid and the soldier allowing the zombie mom to give birth like at all.
Oh man, yeah, that whole sequence was like pretty out there. I really wasn't expecting that.
I thought they were going to go with like the evolution angle of the rage zombies, like with her, but they didn't. She acted not like a zombie while giving birth, but as soon as she popped it out, she was back to raging. Like it makes no sense. The baby would have been infected, like 100%. And the one line is like the magic of placenta or whatever. That was like such BS. Considering how careful you have to be to like not get their blood on you. And you're saying that the baby would have not been infected? Like we've established that getting blood on you infects you, but a baby in the womb, like getting nourishment for 9 months, doesn't get infected. And then they make you think it's the zombie alpha's baby and there's going to be a chase in the later movies. You know, like it's just characters being stupid, allowing the zombie to give birth. The mom is delusional, so I can see her doing it, but not the other two. Like not the kid or the soldier. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. And you know what else? We started seeing those night vision shots again from the first act, right? Like toward the end there. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, man. I totally thought they were going to do something with that, you know, like the visual itself, it was actually really creepy, like genuinely creepy. But then nothing actually happened with it, right? It was just like there. It felt so purposeless.
Yeah, it looked cool though. I gotta admit, like just the aesthetic of it was kind of unsettling in a good way.
Oh, absolutely. It looked cool. But imagine, right? Like if they had done something where they had to go from point A to point B, you know, maybe at night, just using night vision, but like without any weapons or anything like that. That would have been that would have made for a really, really creepy scene. You know, like you're just navigating through this dark, infested world, totally vulnerable, just relying on that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Like that would have been intense, actually. Like that would have added a whole new layer of tension to it. It looked good, but then, yeah, you're right. It didn't really go anywhere.
Exactly. And then, like, you know, speaking of weird visuals, what about all that really weird spliced in footage, right, from like medieval movies with like the archers and the armies and stuff? I couldn't understand what they were doing with that at all. Like it completely threw me off.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was so out of left field, man. I was just like, wait, what is this? Like, why are we seeing like knights and you know, archers like suddenly appear in this modern zombie movie? Like it made no sense. Absolutely none.
Right? It was so disjointed, you know? Like I kept thinking like, am I missing something here? Is there some deeper meaning here that I'm just not getting? But no, it felt like it just got thrown in there just for the sake of it. You know, it was so out of place. It was like it had nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It didn't contribute anything narratively or emotionally. Yeah, but then man, the third act, right? When they finally get to the doctor, like what in the world was that? Seriously, how does that doctor like build all that stuff, you know, like all those piles of like bones and skulls? It made no sense.
Oh, absolutely. Like, dude, I was thinking the same thing. Like, yeah, bones stacked as high as like multi-story houses, right? And they just stay up just fine with just some twine or whatever, except for, of course, for when the boy touches a very specific part and then boom, all the skulls just like fall down, you know? But hey, I guess memento mori or whatever, right? Like that's what they were going for.
Right?
And then also, like, how does the doctor not, like, get infected ever? Like, he's just walking around in, just regular clothes without any armor or anything. And he's just surrounded by all this rage. It completely baffled me. Like, they don't even try to explain it.
Oh, man, yeah, they totally just hand-waved it, right? With that, like, single line, like, oh, he covers himself in iodine, the virus doesn't like it. And then they never, ever touch on that point again, Like, it's just forgotten. But yeah, like, bro, what the hell was that third act in general? Like, it got so wild.
Yeah, it just kept getting weirder and weirder. First, the doctor just, like, gets whacked in the head, right? Then the mom, she has cancer, but, like, she secretly already kind of knew, which is just bizarre.
I mean, she did say she was in pain, like there was that. So, I guess she had a reason.
True, but then she immediately wants to die, right? Now that it's confirmed, like, no hesitation, no real emotional processing, just, okay, I'm ready to go now.
And she does, man. She immediately gets assistance dying, right? Like that night, right in front of her kid, who's been like through all this with her. Like, it's so jarring. And then by morning, she's already been like flippin' flash boiled by the doctor, so they can just like add her skulls to the piles, right? And her kid holds her skull not like 12 hours after finding out she had cancer. Like, that was just insane to me, man. It's so fast.
And then, man, the ending, like, just the kid sneaks the totally not infected baby back to the town gates, right? And no one sees him. Like, how did the village island not see the kid coming from, like, the only land bridge there and just leave the baby? They always had a lookout, like, that was their whole thing. And then the kid just goes off on his own, leaving a note for his dad, who then finally runs off. But I found it really jarring, honestly, that the father character didn't, like, run off sooner to go find the son and the mom. He was just sitting there waiting at the end of the movie, and it wasn't until he got that note that he looked like he was just, like, finally going to go after them. Why? He already had all the pieces to put together. The kid wanted to see the doctor, and he looked like he was determined to take his mother there. He absolutely should have already been looking for them much earlier because of his role as, like, a tracker in the community. It seems really, really off.
Well, they did establish at the start, that no one goes out for searches no matter what, because, like, they've just lost a lot of people already. So, that was a rule they had.
True. So the kid is just, what, like 12? And he's just going out on his own with, like, 7 arrows and, like, no way to make more. I feel like his character would have just went anyway, despite the rules of the village. It felt a little out of character for him not to.
Oh, but then the goddamn Slavic Power Rangers show up. Like, what was that?
Yeah, the Jimmies just, like, show up doing parkour and flips while killing zombies, and it doesn't even, like, seem like a movie in the same universe anymore. It's so completely out of place.
Yeah, you said the other night that the 28 years is going to have a trilogy. So, like, we'll get more Power Rangers in the later ones, I guess?
Ugh.
Yeah, I guess so, but let's just, like, circle back to another tonal shift in the movie right there. It doesn't feel like it fits in the movie at all. Like, I really like trilogies where the movies can still stand on their own and they, like, wrap up enough of the story to have closure, but not a cliffhanger like this movie. It completely leaves it open. The first Star Wars, A New Hope and Fellowship of the Ring are such good examples of this, right? Where stuff could still be expanded on, but the movie feels done. It feels complete. It was a very jarring ending to the first movie of what's supposed to be a trilogy. It feels like a big misstep, honestly.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Okay, so no more spoilers, right? On to our verdict then. Is it a slop or not, Donathan?
Snug, I'd say it's definitely not slop. Like, no, it's not slop at all. But I gotta say, it's just okay. You know, there were some things I really liked, and like a pretty cool setup with interesting ideas that like actually worked for some of the movie.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
But then they just started doing all this like stupid stuff with the characters, you know, and the tonal shifts were just like all over the place, as we've talked about. And that ending, man, it was just so confusing. I guess what they were going for was like some big emotional moment with this kid and his mother, but it was just so jarring. So yeah, not a slop, just okay, honestly. Just go watch the original if you haven't seen it, or even 28 weeks later.
Yeah, I totally agree, actually. It was a super interesting watch, though, I won't lie. Like, I don't hate that I went to see it at all, but I just feel like it was too all over the place, like you said. Had a really good night going to see it with you, though. And plus, it gave us, like, a ton of fun stuff to talk about here on Content Slop. I think 28 Weeks Later was like my favorite so far out of these movies, though, and damn, I really do love the song In a House in a Heartbeat. Well, everyone, that's it for episode 1 of Slop or Not. Hope you like it, and see you next time.
If there's any media, like movies, games, or shows you want to hear about, leave it in the comments below. We'll see if we can talk about it next time.
Neon pixels dot the sky. Sunset render.